recording? Okay, so again, just to recap, everybody here said no one needs help with rubric creation or data collection. And again, feel free to change your mind on the data collection bit once we get closer. I know that this is not the same lift for everybody. Okay, there are larger courses like psychology, psych 230, for example. I think there are about 5 or 6 sections of that. So if Corey wants help collecting data, we can do that. English is always got like 15 to 20 sections. So if Jess, if you need help, I forgot you were on. If you need help with data collection, you just let us know, okay, when we get closer. Okay, and by closer, I mean probably by the end of April. Okay, that would be when folks should be setting up to do the data collection. Okay, one thing we've been asked to do by our VPAA, and hopefully everybody can still see my screen, is to take a look at the list of responsibilities for the assessment fellows. Since you folks have been in the role for almost an entire year, what do you think about this list of responsibilities? Does it need to be changed? Does anything need to be added or removed? Take a look at what I have up here and let me know. I'll make suggestions to the document rather than edits.
Marianne, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Are you satisfied with the way that the assessment fellows worked out?
Personally, I think that aside from the workload being lopsided, namely some of you doing a lot more work than others because of the way the programs are distributed in the divisions, and we've talked about that, like what would be a better way to distribute things so the workload's more equitable. Aside from that, I think having the fellows has definitely helped lessen the load for us as assessment co-chairs. Christine, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a little difficult for me to, I don't have the before and after, right? Because this is all I know. But I find it really kind of rewarding when I can work with our fellow, Jessica. It's very easy to communicate. It's much closer. It's I don't know. For me, it's all I know. I feel spoiled because we didn't have that before. I feel like I got a really good deal by having that in place by coming on. But I see what Marianne mentioned earlier, the inequity of the work. So that's certainly something we need to address.
One of the things that was proposed to address that, and let's ask you, since you're here, fellows, would be to take our 30-odd programs, and again, I think the number has shrunk down to maybe 28 at this point, but let's just say it's 30 because that's evenly divisible by 5. Okay, well, if we took the 30 programs and divided them evenly among the fellows, what do you think about that idea? That would mean that you might be overseeing programs that are not in your division. What do you think about that?
I think it sounds interesting. I mean,
so
okay.
I think it sounds interesting. I think it's something that could potentially be helpful, but where I see the big problem in this is that a lot of times the faculty are very protective of what they're doing. And I don't really see myself as an engineer being a really good fellow for one of the art programs. And I don't think they would take very kindly to me, even though I think I would be fine doing it. All I'm supposed to do is just guide them. I think they would object to that. This happened years ago at the district level within the engineering program. We put forward a proposal for a change to the curriculum. And I remember I didn't, at the time, I didn't know how curriculum was done at the district level. And I will never forget that there was some guy who was on that group who taught Spanish, who flat out said, engineering should not be allowed to do this. And I was like, why are you, who are not an engineer, who are not a content expert in this, why are you even having a say in this? And I fear that that's the way it would be interpreted. I think if it's clear what the purpose of the fellow is, then I think that that would be a great idea. I have been very spoiled in doing this because math is spot on. I ask, I get an answer within hours, and it's done.
They better be.
Biochemistry consistently ignores me, and I just escalate it up, and it's no longer my problem. Physics, the adjunct who's teaching that is collecting the data, and we do have a support system in there to help get the assessment taken care of. And then me, because I'm in engineering, I already know what's supposed to be coming. I've already got engineering done for the upcoming review. It's finished.
Yes, Carl is the first lead to get all of his PLOs assessed. So yay, Carl.
Well, I'm not saying it for that purpose. I'm just saying that I think maybe it would have been better across the board if I had been spread out among some of the others, but I see how some of the program coordinators might take offense at that. And so I don't know. Maybe I really liked the idea of how during our past meetings when it came to the program coordinators and the faculty, how we specifically said, this is not something that is against you or your program. This has to do with the documentation of the assessment. And if we can get them to believe that, then I think that would work. I think
Right.
that would be a fair way to do it.
You know, Carl,
Great.
I just have to jump in because I really think that Wiley would be delighted to work with you. I mean, honestly, engineering and art have so much in common. They're both creative endeavors. They both involve science. I don't think, I mean, I don't know who you'd end up with, but I really don't think you need to worry about that, especially
Well,
in the arts areas. And let me add on that, you know, over the years of working with Mary Ann, when she's been helping me in storytelling, it's been so rewarding to learn more about Mary Ann and what she does, and for us to find commonalities in the way that we approach things. It's extremely rewarding and important. And so I mean, you know, I don't know whether we'll do this or not, but I think your earlier point, Carl, is correct. You know, right? These are really more structural tasks than content tasks.
yes.
And I think our faculty is ever more aware of that. And honestly, if somebody told me that the guy who got all of his stuff in first was going to be my assessment fellow, I'd be like, can I have Carl, please?
Well, like I said, though, math, they're spot on to get whatever they need done. They will have it done by the deadline. I know that for a fact. But it's, you know, it goes to the fact that all of us within math, science, and engineering know Mary Ann. And that's why I decided to do this, was because I knew what she was doing, and the crap ton dumpster fire that got dumped on her is why I said, no, I'm going to jump in there because she doesn't deserve this. And
well, Carl, if it's any comfort to you, you know, my faculty have relied on me virtually not at all. And even though I've offered many times, and one of them, when I reminded them that their program review was due after communicating with them roughly weekly, one of them said, I did not know my program review was due. And so I forwarded this faculty member the note from Mary Ann in August saying program reviews are due. So it's
a mixed bag.
I know.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. Yeah.
It's always a mixed bag, right? So
how about this? If we were to distribute them evenly, you know, like say 6 per fellow, do you think it would be better to try to match areas of expertise rather than to make it totally random. Like I personally, I agree with you, Liz. I love working with you guys over there in CFAS. I mean, Mario is fantastic to work with. I know some of you better than I know others, but I think that cross-discipline communication is vital in a college setting for faculty growth. I mean,
Mhm.
aside from the whole assessment thing and what we can learn from each other, but I was wondering if you thought dividing them up but not doing it randomly would be better, or do you think that would create other problems?
That's actually what I was gonna suggest. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I love what Liz was saying about how potentially there's an opportunity here to like, meet more of our colleagues and really get to interact with each other in a meaningful way. And so that seems like a great opportunity. But I think too, I hear Carl where it's like maybe there's some people we would work better with, where we'd have that kind of expertise that we would be able to lend and people would maybe listen to us more. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean, Jess.
Well, I think based on what you said, Liz, if I was and I can see exactly how for the one who said that I didn't know that this was due, I would have been all over them like from week one. And
Well,
I
I
think
thought
at
I
that
was.
point, well, I think at that point they would have been really irritated with me and they would have not appreciated what I was trying to do. It is
Right.
a systemic structural thing. That's all it
Mhm.
is. And so I don't see an issue with it. But if I'm supposed to be the one who's guiding them in this, and they're not listening to me and they don't see the importance of it, then it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Well, I
And
will say that
that
proximity
would
has
drive
been
me
helpful.
crazy. That would drive me insane.
Well, I know,
Mm,
and it makes me I just get a little nervous, right?
Yeah.
Or more than a little. But I will say that in terms of how we divide them up, Marianne, the proximity is helpful, right?
Yes.
So they don't always respond to emails, but they might stop by and say, "Hey, what is this thing?" And I'm like, "It's that."
right,
And then like it's 30 seconds, and that's what they need, and that happens. It's
right.
not documented in our email trains, but that's happening, right? Or they'll stop by and
Absolutely.
say, "Hey, I'm good on this," or whatever. And so having that proximity, I do think is helpful. And like Brielle, I mean, she's there with her people all the time, right? And I don't think it makes sense to break that up because their expertise is so deep
Right,
and so far along as well.
Thank you.
right.
Yes.
I agree, Liz.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe the better way of doing it would be again using me as an example. Keep me with math, science, and engineering, but then bring on two others that may be more in alignment with that, so that there is already a starting node that we have common, related to each other, and then go from there.
I,
I
I
don't
think that's a good
think
idea.
I don't think it would be a good mix, for example, for me to be working with the folks in the music program. Um, because I have no idea what they do, how they assess things, anything like that. I'm not a content expert. Yes, I realize that it is structural and systemic, but that would not be a good fit. I think if
Well, both
we
sides
could,
have to feel comfortable, Carl, and I think that's
that's right.
legitimate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. Yes.
And to be honest, the issue, if you want to step back and look at the bigger picture, the issue is MCL CTL. Okay, there are twice as many programs in that division as in any of the others. So probably what we'd be doing is pulling things out of MCL CTL and assigning them to the fellows from other divisions. For example, Carl, what makes sense, I think, for the MSE fellow is computer
Computer
science
science. Hmm.
and maybe another computing field or business.
CIS.
Yeah, CIS. Okay, so basically, that's kind of
That's
where I
smart.
was going, but I didn't want to create other problems by cherry picking because
Hmm.
again, some faculty might have issues with that. What
Is
do you
there any
think? Go
thought
ahead.
about the fellow for MCL CTL, right? Is there any thought of just increasing their load. Like, hey, you oversee exponentially more. Maybe we just give you some additional load for this.
We suggested that and it was declined. The idea is it's not about money, it's about brain space. And,
What about,
again, go ahead.
oh, I'm so sorry.
No, that's
I
fine. Go ahead.
understand it's not about money, but if you increase the load, then it increases their
About time.
capacity, right?
Yeah.
Because potentially maybe they teach one less class or something that does create that brain space.
Or 2 people assigned, maybe, if there's twice as many
Yeah. I was
That makes
thinking the
sense.
same
areas.
thing. Maybe just looking at it as, okay, if there are twice as many, there maybe should be 2 people.
Mhm.
And then
Okay.
spreading, I was just thinking as you guys are expressing concerns about is this the right fit and all that, I don't know how much, just an idea how much say someone could have in choosing a fellow that they prefer to work with. I don't know if that's even because I wouldn't feel comfortable just assigning, like this is, you work with this person, you
Mhm.
work with that person. There should be some conversation before that.
Which gets us back to kind of like, this is your division rep. And so
Yeah.
that it's kind of logical.
Yeah.
But I think that Jessica's right. I mean, if we probably need 2 fellows in MCL CTO.
Right. If we're not going to evenly distribute programs. Again, all
Right.
I'm trying to do is solicit ideas and I'm trying to
Sure.
ascribe them at the bottom of this list of responsibilities. So please feel free to keep going if you've got other thoughts. Okay. Anything else?
No, I just wanted to iterate that I think it's a really nice idea to just add another fellow to that group. Because
Gotcha.
I do see, even with our program, I mean, it has kept me quite busy. So,
Well, you have a lot of faculty to try to coordinate. Even though it's a single program, it's a humongous program, which is another
right.
thing. Not all programs are the same size either.
That's so important, Marianne. I mean,
Yeah.
again, to Brielle's point, if she has, twice or 3 times as many faculty, shouldn't the compensation be different? And again, not about money, it's about her time or her or whoever is the fellow. Yeah.
Right. Thank
Okay.
you for that.
I think that's a good consideration, Riel. This is the first semester that within engineering, we've had multiple sections of the same course, and they were actually being assessed. And the having to go through and consolidate the data from multiple courses, this was the first time that I've had to do that. And it is a different level than if it's just a single course.
Yeah, we're assessing this semester 2 different courses with multiple sections each and multiple instructors. In our program, we have 31 adjunct instructors, I think. So chasing
Yes.
people is a real thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember sitting down with the instructor for the other course. Fortunately, I taught one section and then he taught the other section, but we had to sit down and we had to talk about this is what you have to do when you do this so that we are in alignment when it comes to assessment, so that we're not comparing apples and oranges. And at first he didn't quite understand it, and I had to do it multiple times to explain before he got it. And as I was going through the analysis part of it, I kept thinking to myself, oh my God, why was this? Where did this come from? What did this come from? In the end, it was perfectly fine. But for the first time ever, it was it was stressful. So I
Right.
feel your pain for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carl, for saying that. And, I do think there is some value in, being the lead for the department you're connected to, right? So I do think there's buy-in from the people that I email because they know me. And the reality is that I'm relatively new to South. If I begin reaching out to someone in engineering, they might ignore my email in 2 seconds, right? Versus the BHS team members who are like, oh, yes, we know her, gotta respond to her, right? Like, so I do see some value in connection with the department that you are directly supporting.
I agree.
Right.
And I think that also opens doors for other opportunities as well. Some of the folks that I've been working with outside of engineering have discovered a lot of the things that we have available for us to use in the engineering lab. And aside from assessment related things, now I've got them hanging out with us in the engineering lab using the machines and the tools and things like that.
Mhm.
And I'm saying that because I see Travis is in this meeting now, and Travis just got the result of one of those dumped on his office doorstep yesterday, and he loved it, and he had nothing to do with it. So
It's actually really, actually have it right here. I think I'm getting fumes from the spray paint, Carl. It's a little spicy over here.
Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate your candid discussion about how it went now that we're at the end of almost a year with assessment fellows. Certainly, you heard from Christine and me, and we both think the idea of having a fellow has been very helpful to us, but we want to make it equitable and sustainable going forward. So we kind of recorded all your feedback, and we'll definitely pass that on as far as making decisions going forward. I know the call went out for you to not only evaluate your year's experience, but also to reapply. I know some of the fellows have told me they are not reapplying, and hopefully we'll get some response from other folks who are interested. But again, we want to thank you for doing this for a year. We know it's been painful because we had done it ourselves, right? And but what you're actually seeing is an assessment process that's working the way it should, kind of for the first time. So that's why it was such a heavy lift. And we're hoping that going forward, each successive year will be easier and easier. It won't be the same level of lift because you're going to be spreading information about how assessment should work. And the more people who are comfortable with that, the easier the fellow's job will be, and the whole assessment process will be a lot smoother. Okay, I think part of the problem we've had with assessment up to this point is all of the information was kind of locked away in two people. And unless we did a workshop where we kind of explained what we were thinking and what we were doing, and then allowed folks to ask questions, that was the only venue for transmitting that information to a wider audience. And now, because of you guys as fellows, more and more people are learning about assessment and how it should work. So we thank you. I mean, that's been huge. Okay, so thank you for that. Moving on, I just want to show you this spring 2026 assessment activities. This again is linked into the agenda. All of the documents, if you can go to the meeting invitation, find the agenda, this is linked in. Okay, want to just draw your attention again to the yellow highlighted assessments. Okay, they're across all of the divisions. And I know, I don't think LA has any yellow highlighted ones. No. Okay, so I'll just leave this first page up. Okay, these are going to, they're all important to get finished, of course, by May 15th, but these yellow ones are critical because these are producing data that are going to go into our notice report. Christine and I should get the next version of the notice report with comments back from our district level reviewers sometime in early May. Okay, and we'll have another opportunity to add data. Okay, I believe we get to touch it one more time in June. Okay, but we definitely need this feedback as soon as possible, right after the end of accountability, because this is what's going to be evidence to the HLC that we recognized we had issues, we did something about the issues, and then we reassessed to see if those changes made a difference. Okay, and that's kind of critical to the whole program assessment process. Anybody have any questions about these? We good? Okay.
I don't have a question. I just noticed that there was one in there for me with math. I did check in on that, and that it says not started on there, but actually when I checked in with math, they said it was in progress.
Okay, doke. All right. So again, if the rest of you, we can touch base with Richard separately on these. But if you folks have any updates on any of these as far as moving them from not started to in progress, please let us know. Basically, the VPAA's office will use this document to track our progress, you know, as chairs and as an assessment committee to see how effective we're being as far as moving this along. Okay.
Marianne, ours is in progress.
Yours are all in progress, Liz?
Yes.
Just the
CHL.
yellows or all of them?
What do you mean all of them?
These are all the CFAS ones.
Summer, I think, is probably done.
Okay, so
but you can put in progress for sure. And
no,
then
I think
mine is in progress.
she is done. She is done.
Yeah.
She sent us that. Okay, yours
And
is
ours
in
is
progress.
in progress.
All right, and would you, when you get a chance, okay, all of you fellows, if you would check on, you know, just touch base, because again, we're coming up on the second week of April. Just touch base with your leads and find out how they are doing on these.
Okay.
Okay. And Brielle, I know you said yours was in progress.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. No worries. Again, the sooner we can start moving these little smart bits, the better. Okay.
Engineering is completed. Biochemistry and physics are in progress.
Thank you. Engineering is completed. Okay. Thank you. Okay. And again, feel free to let us know. Okay. And we'll keep those things updated. Part of the point of this meeting is for us to communicate about what you need us to help you with if something's stuck. Okay. But let's see if we can get everything in, at least into the in progress phase. It's great that we have 2 completed already. That's fantastic. Okay. Early college. Okay, we met with early college and they did send out these Google Forms to our Math 221 and Marketing 271 dual instructors. And so we're hoping to get that data back from those instructors on the same course program and institutional outcomes that you guys are assessing. Okay, so again, one of the things the HLC wants to know is that all of our instructors, whether they're residential, adjunct, or dual, are doing the same assessment. Okay, so the mechanism we came up with was to kind of create a Google form. Okay, so the dual enrollment instructor would know what they're assessing. We gave them little rubrics with directions on how to fill out the questions. Okay, and then we asked them some general questions at the end. Basically, if they've taught the course before, what changes did they make and why? Basically, what changes do they notice in their students as far as meeting outcomes, and if they have any recommendations about the program. Okay, so again, it's an attempt to reach out and treat folks as colleagues. Okay, so this is the type of form, if you need help from us with data collection, this is the type of form we create or help you create. So if you have like 30 adjuncts you're collecting data from, okay, this makes it a whole lot easier. Okay, because this dumps the data into a spreadsheet. And that's a lot easier to wrangle than people sending emails back and forth. Any questions about this? Okie doke. All righty. Again, our due date for our aligned assessment forms is technically last day of accountability, May 15th. We do understand that some folks may need the following week after accountability to actually crunch the data. That's fine. Just again, remember, we're going to get to touch the notice report maybe once after the middle of May. So it's critical that we get at least the data from those highlighted assessments back by then. Okay. I can't see everyone's tile, so I don't know if anyone is here from student life. Is anyone here from student life?
I'm here,
No.
Marianne.
Oh, hi. Nice to
Hi.
see you, Lucero.
I came in a little late. I apologize. I was coming from our division meeting.
No worries. And again, I'm assuming that you're going to use the Express Yourself exhibit to collect data for your co-curricular assessment this semester. Is that
Thank you.
what you?
Yeah, thank you for asking. Yes, we're doing Express Yourself. We also have our Student Empowerment Network where we're going to collect data afterwards. We have what others? I think that's it for this semester. And then our plan is to have consistent evaluation and assessment each semester. So we'll plan your bow, your power again for the fall. And then every semester we'll do Express Yourself, which will focus on freedom of speech and expression. But I'll also continue to do like my own assessment for my own programming if needed, you know, as additional evidence.
Great. Thanks, Lucero. Yeah, Carl, I see your hand up.
So Lucero, you said something about the continuous one, and that reminded me I have a question about this. Now that engineering is finished, I'm looking ahead to the future. Is there a plan in place as to how we should be doing this moving ahead in the future?
Not yet. That is
Okay.
something we wanted to discuss with you guys during the May meeting, is
Okay.
because we're wrapping up our first cycle and we're trying to document it in a coherent way in our
Okay.
notice report. But yes, that is a great question, Carl.
Okay, because
Ideally,
like I
we
said,
wouldn't want to do the same PLOs again. I mean, because
right.
we've gotten actually out of, and I haven't added yours to the total, Carl, yet, but before you submitted the bunch that you gave me this week, we had 72 PLOs assessed. And of those, only 8 didn't meet the faculty's threshold for proficiency. Okay, so that's pretty good. That's like what, 11% or something like that. So those are the ones we're reassessing. Those are our highlighted ones that you
Okay.
see in the spring 26 schedule. So if we're just documenting students attaining our outcomes, then we really kind of want to do something else going forward, right? We don't want to
Right.
just repeat the same thing. So
Well,
think about that.
I'm thinking of it in terms of the number. I don't want to do 5 during a semester. If I can get away starting in the fall with 2, and then the spring 2, and then the next one 2, that's a whole lot easier to do. So
Here's what I'm thinking, but again, this is something we need all of you to think about and provide feedback. Okay, first of all, we are going to drastically cut down the number of PLOs we're assessing, because some programs, namely at least the ones I've seen in math and science, have 12 to 14 PLOs, which is ridiculous. Okay, so if we each say in this 3-year cycle, we're going to assess, well, 6 PLOs. That means we could do 1 a semester. Okay. And then pick different courses that they map to. We have program curriculum maps. Okay. And we've kind of picked for this cycle what courses we thought would make sense for assessing them. But in most cases, a PLO maps to many different courses. Okay, so maybe that's a way to go. Or if you have any other more creative solutions, we'd love to hear them in May. We're planning our May meeting on May 8th. Okay, so let us know what you think. But yeah, Carl, it's time to start thinking about the fall.
Okay, I'm glad you said it that way. because I think you and I had already talked about this. If you look at the engineering program, I think there's like 14 PLOs. However, only 9 of them are applicable to the general program itself. I mean, there's like one in there for electrical engineering for a course that we don't even offer. So yeah, but I'm thinking looking ahead. And now that I know what this is, I feel really bad for my colleague at Chandler Gilbert who had to do this because they offer all those courses and had to do all of them. And
Right.
I'm whining about 9 of them. So
Again, from what we've learned, it's kind of up to us which of the PLOs we decide to assess. It would be a good idea if we could provide a rationale as to why we picked these 6 out of 14. Okay. And I would think one rationale would be the coverage. Okay. This PLO is hit in maybe 10 out of our 12 courses or whatever, or we never offer these courses that these PLOs cover, so we're assessing it over here. Okay. I know one of the major issues we had with this assessment cycle was, oh geez, I was going to assess this PLO and Math 227, but Math 227 didn't make this semester, so we have to move it. Okay. So this constant changing the program assessment plan based on what courses we're running. So if we could figure out a way to deal with that up front by maybe picking from the courses that almost always run, okay, or if the course runs in the fall, make sure we're assessing it in the fall, that sort of thing. Remember, when we built these plans, we kind of built them in a hurry, okay, and maybe we'll have a little bit more breathing room this time to give it some thought ahead, okay, so we're not in a healing rush. What do you think about that?
I'm looking forward to the May meeting.
Yay. Me too. All righty. The next thing on the agenda is program review, which we've kind of touched on. Okay, we've received all of the first drafts from, we've received all of the revised documents, rather, from MCL, CTL, and LA. Everybody who was asked to revise their program review did so. They're uploaded to the shared Google Drive that you can all see, and they're also updated on the program review process webpage in Inside South. I'm not sure what the visiting team from HLC will want to look at, but I figured let's put them in both places, so wherever they look, they're seeing something revised. We've also gotten all first drafts for CFAS, the LRC, and CTL, and we're in the process, Christine and I are in the process of providing feedback on completeness, or if you had a comment in your program review, like, I'm not sure how to address this, we'll address your comments. So that's in process. We're hoping to get all of those comments done by the 17th. That'll give you almost a month to turn those around into a full draft. We know the last week of the semester is crazy, so we wanted to make sure you had a couple of weeks to turn those around. Okay. As always, let us know if you need help pulling data. Okay. We understand some folks are still not comfortable with that part, and we're willing to help you do that. Here's a link to institutional research emails that came out in August and in the middle of the fall that contain other useful data dashboards, should you choose to use those. And again, I apologize, everything is due on May 15th because we all turn into pumpkins on May 15th, right? We all take trips to the south of France or wherever we're going. Some of us do stay here in Phoenix, but basically that's so we can turn the information around for the HLC, okay? Any comments on program review? Okie doke. The Maricopa Assessment Committee did not hold a March meeting since it was scheduled during spring break week. The last thing we discussed was annual assessment reporting across the colleges. And again, that's another thing we can talk about in May, if you will, about how do we want to handle summarizing our data right now. Okay, what we have is a gigantic Excel workbook with a tab for every program and some summary data sheets that show graphs and charts. Okay. A lot of colleges actually produce a narrative report if you think that would be helpful, or perhaps even a dashboard, which I think would be useful because it would be interactive. Okay. So maybe we can talk about this more in the main meeting. Okay. And again, we have some upcoming conferences. One's going on today, Assess Arizona, up at Paradise Valley Community College. And then there's one in June, should you be interested. Okay, any questions on that? District issues related to assessment. Okay. One other thing that I'd like to talk to you, which is still in its early stages, is basically I was approached by our VP of not student affairs, administrative services, about Heliocampus. Ken sent me a text saying, what information do you have about Heliocampus? And where can I get information about purchasing? Which surprised me. And he said, Veronica asked him to get this information. Tim, are you still in the call?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great.
Sorry.
So I managed to reach out to folks at Watermark, SPOL, and we already had contacts at SPOL because we currently have SPOL, and they set me up with their newest release of SPOL and Heliocampus. Okay, and I was trying to create this weighted rubric that talked about categories that might be important when picking software. And again, Tim, I didn't get a chance to share this with you before Ken reached out, but basically alignment and reporting, usability and buy-in from faculty, Canvas outcomes integration, because we have our outcomes in Canvas, the workflow that comes out of it, data analytics, budgeting alignment, which is another thing HLC wants to see from us. How do you take the data from assessment and get it into your budgeting and staffing processes? How expensive is it to buy, and how expensive is it to implement and support? Okay, and then basically how customizable is it? Okay, and basically if you kind of like weight these categories from important to, well, still important but not as crucial to adoption. Okay, Heliocampus came out on top, not by a long shot, but significantly so. SPOL, it turns out, from what we understand, is a lot cheaper. Okay, to at least to get the licensing for. I'm sure it's probably equally burdensome on the IT area to support any kind of a product like this. But basically, this is what came out of it. But I honestly think what's driving the discussion at this point is the fact that 2 of our sister colleges have already implemented SPOL, okay, not SPOL, Heliocampus, and that's Chandler Gilbert and Scottsdale. And I've spoken to the folks at Chandler Gilbert, to Mary Ellen Ornberger and Jeremy Tuddy, and basically they said it was brutal, even though they got support from the vendor, but they said they learned a lot, and that Scottsdale's implementation went a lot faster. Okay, so again, we're not at the point where we've made any kind of a decision. Like I said, Ken is just looking into how much would this cost us and how would it be licensed and what components. All of these software platforms have modules, okay? And you can pick and choose the modules you want, which of course is going to affect cost and support issues and implementation and all that. But I thought it was worth sharing with you that these discussions are happening. We don't have any additional information because Ken hasn't spoken to the Heliocampus folks yet, but I wanted to make sure everybody in this group was aware that these discussions were happening, okay? Which is a change, okay, from what I had been told anyway, and Christine and I had been told in the past, which was there was no way we could handle that. So I don't know what's changed. As we get more information, we'll share it with you. Okay.
Marianne, this
Any,
is just the best news, I want to say. I think it's fabulous.
well,
And
it's good that they're talking about it. At least
it
it may
is.
not be a go, but
It's got to be a go. It's got to be a go. I mean, I don't know who else been talking about it, but I sure have been talking about it a lot. And I love this table that you came with. I think it's so useful to do it this way. So thank you for doing that extra work. I know that's got to be helpful for Ken as well.
I just
But
wish I had had more eyes on it before Ken grabbed it, because Tim, I would have rather run this past you first, especially as far as the weights are concerned. But it is what it is.
yeah, it's great. And I'm so glad that they're looking into it. And I honestly believe it's going to happen.
Okay. Tim, do you have any feedback at all? I'm curious.
I don't. I was not aware that Ken had reached out about Helios. So that's kind of news to me. But I was out the last 2 weeks. So I just got back this week. So that's
Okay.
probably why. So no, was not aware of it.
Yeah, this happened literally the last 2 days of this past week. So it's not like, I've been sitting on this information. It literally just happened. And he was specifically interested in Heliocampus. So this table just seemed to support that decision. Like I said, we already have SPOL, so it's not, we would just need to make the decision one versus the other. And hopefully we would have enough information by the point that we needed to make that decision that we could make an informed decision. I did mention to Ken that and he knew that you should be part of that discussion, Tim. So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting, and it was a bit of a surprise to me, because again, I was not aware of that being an interest. Anybody have anything else they'd like to discuss before we adjourn? I feel like I've been talking too much, so please, somebody else, if you want to discuss something, now's the time.
Well, I'd like to support what you just said, Marianne, about Tim and what he's doing and how important he is. This will be the last time that I get to meet all of you on this laptop. I discovered that some of the engineering software that we use requires a massive amount of memory, and I realized that when I ran 2 separate programs, my laptop would crash, and I just offhand mentioned it to Tim, and now we're in the process of upgrading or changing my desktop in my office to a higher quality laptop. That's today, and once that's done, I trade in this laptop and have the better one. So Tim's a really important person to know.
Yeah. Well, again,
Carl, you're supposed to keep that quiet. Come on.
Then I won't
Yeah,
tell you
Tim,
about
how did we get in on that?
Well, I won't tell you about what happened yesterday with public safety and me forgetting my key card. So
yeah, we've all done that, believe me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But again, I mean, I appreciate all of you, Christine, and I appreciate all of your efforts. I mean, assessment would not be happening without you. Okay, make no mistake about that. This is a team effort. It's not a one person or a 2-person thing. Okay, especially if we're going to sustain it going forward. So we not only appreciate all the hard work you've done, we appreciate your insights. Okay, so please feel free to offer those. Okay, whenever. Okay.
So I want to at the start of the meeting. I think Brielle, you were the one who asked the question about what happened in yesterday's meeting. I'm not going to go into details about that, but one of the things that did come up was Dr. Ippolito made a comment about how when she was talking about assessment, about how important this is and how important it was. And that, of everything that came up, was what stuck out in my head, is that the administration does appear to recognize how important this is. And I think anything that we can do to get everybody else to see it, to buy into it and realize it is really important. So anyway, that's just what I wanted to say. Brielle, we can talk on the side if you want to know about the details from yesterday.
Thank you, Carl. And again, the HLC has pretty much told us in a letter that this is an existential issue for us. I mean, it's pretty clear in the letter they wrote us. So yeah, your work is super important. Okay. And again, the more we can socialize that across the campus, the better for us as an institution. So thanks again, folks. I'm going to end the recording at this point. And again, if any